Since 2013, windshield banners have been a staple in the NASCAR Cup Series cars, typically representing driver names and in some cases the title sponsor of the series. But the history of the windshield banner goes deeper than just the Cup Series and dates back all the way to the 90s. So today, we're going to take a look at the history of the NASCAR windshield banners. In 1995, the NASCAR Super Truck Series by Craftsman debuted. With its birth, also came a new concept: windshield banners. Directly at the top center of the windshields on select trucks, there was a Craftsman logo. Craftsman, of course, being the title sponsor. This deal between Craftsman and NASCAR's Truck Series would stand, and the name Craftsman became synonymous with the Truck Series, and to be fair, it works. When you think of trucks, you think of rough and tough, and what better to pair with that than some quality tools? To be honest, this marketing works. I have a Craftsman weed eater and some Craftsman tool sets, so it just makes sense. But in 2009, this would all change. In December of 2007, Craftsman's parent company at the time, Sears, announced that they would be pulling their title sponsorship at the end of the 2008 season, as that's when their contract with NASCAR would end. This would end the Craftsman windshield banner for now. Taking Craftsman's place in 2009 would be Camping World, an outdoor RV and camper dealership. Camping World would continue the tradition of having the windshield banner placement saying Camping World across the top of the windshield. A year prior, in 2008, the newly named NASCAR Nationwide Series would adopt a similar concept. Nationwide would take over the windshield banner space on the cars. Now, with both lower, or as some refer to them as minor league series, adopting a banner concept for the windshield, some may have been wondering, when will this come to the Cup Series? They already changed their title sponsor twice since the windshield banner debuted, and nothing seemed to change. But for the Cup Series to adopt this, it wouldn't be down to a title sponsor change, it was an entire car change. But instead of a sponsor taking the place on the windshield, it was a driver's name. As a fan at this time, I loved this addition. It gave every car their own unique identity and attached a driver to the car. I always thought it was a cool idea. The windshield banner saw some changes in certain race weeks. For example, on Memorial Day weekend for the Coke 600 starting in 2015, we would have the tradition of representing a fallen American soldier across the windshield in place of the driver. This is a tradition that still carries on to this day. Also, across 2014 and 15, a marketing deal was struck with the banners as NASCAR is pushing an eco-friendly E15 fuel marketing campaign that saw the banners be green for select races. Another tradition started by the banners happened in 2014. Drivers who made the expanded 16-driver chase would be highlighted with a yellow splitter, yellow roof number, and yellow windshield banner. But in 2015, the yellow roof number would be discontinued in favor of a yellow spoiler. In the round of 16 of the 2016 chase, instead of the drivers' names being on the banner, it was their Twitter handles. This only lasted through the round of 16, and in the round of 12, it was back to normal. But dropping back down to the second tier series, Nationwide would depart NASCAR's second tier series at the end of 2014. Xfinity Internet would take over the naming rights to the series and of course the windshield banners. Xfinity would once again be at the top of the windshields with a black background. But in 2016, with NASCAR bringing the chase concept to the Xfinity series, chase drivers were now highlighted with a red banner, spoiler, and splitter. But in 2018, the banners would change slightly. Xfinity would be on each end of the banner, but with the drivers' names being in the center. And of course, when the playoffs started, the drivers' names would be highlighted in red. In 2019, the Xfinity Series would debut a much cleaner look. Xfinity would be put on the left and the driver's name would be put on the right. This, in my opinion, is much cleaner and it just looks better. The Xfinity Series has since then kept this banner, but in 2022, Xfinity would revamp their logo and the color would be changed to purple. And for the playoff drivers, the banner is now highlighted in purple. The banner is also occasionally changed to mark our Dash for Cash drivers. In place of the Xfinity logo, we have a Dash for Cash logo. Now that we're all caught up on the Xfinity series, let's move back to the Cup Series. At the end of 2016, Sprint would leave as the Cup Series title sponsor, and taking their place would be Monster Energy. Unlike previous years where the driver name took the center windshield, it would now be Monster Energy taking over the space. And to be honest, this just looks cluttered and quite frankly, ugly. For the playoff markings, instead of having an entire windshield banner be green, they decided to go with these weird green blocks on each side and it just didn't make any sense really. but luckily we only had to put up with this for 3 seasons. Dropping back down to the Truck Series, much like the Xfinity Series in 2016, the Truck Series would debut their own chase. These drivers would be highlighted with blue windshield banners. These would last until the 2019 season. Starting in 2019, Camping World's sister company Gander RV and Outdoors would take over as a title sponsor of the series, and of course continuing the banner tradition. The name swap was done as a marketing ploy to try and help boost sales for Gander, and in case anyone's wondering, Gander and Camping World were basically the same company. The name was just swapped out for marketing reasons. In 2021, the name was switched back to Camping World until the end of the 2022 season, where a familiar name would return. More on that in a bit. After the 2019 season, NASCAR renamed it to just being the Cup Series. Many thought that the drivers' names on the banner would return, but instead, we got this. Yeah, who remembers these? The banner just said Cup Series with the NASCAR Lines logo, and for the playoffs, the drivers would be highlighted with the banner just saying playoffs across it, with a white or silver, I could never really tell, spoiler on the back. Luckily in 2021, NASCAR would change this back to the drivers' names, and for the playoffs, the banners would revert back to their original yellow color for playoff drivers. But in 2022, the banner would see a minor change. It was discovered that in testing, the next gen car had cooling issues inside the cockpit. So to combat this, NASCAR would add an open slot in the windshield to cool the drivers down better, and this would offset the driver's name to the right side of the windshield. Dropping back down to the Truck Series, Camping World would leave NASCAR at the end of 2022, and coming back to the Truck Series would be an old name, Craftsman. This was rejoiced by many fans, and the name Craftsman would return to the windshield banners. If the banner is black, it represents a driver not competing for points or the championship. If the banner is red, it highlights a driver that is competing for points and the championship. For the playoffs, the drivers' names are offset to the right and the Craftsman logo is offset to the left. So now that we're all caught up on the history of the windshield banner, this leaves many wondering where the next change will be. Most likely it's coming to the Xfinity series, as Xfinity is departing the second tier series at the end of the year, and at the time of recording this, June 22nd, 2025, there is still no word on what that title sponsor will be. So now that we're all caught up on the complete history of the windshield banners, that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 4,000 by the end of the year. Thank you to my channel members. Comment and tell me what your favorite banner was. And I will see you next time for another video. Y'all have a good one.